Urawa Reds. So the new campaign off and underway then with a national derby. Gamba Osaka and Urawa Reds hoping to relive former glories, make some new memories this season under new managers. So much expectation on the shoulders of these two clubs at the start of a new season, as there always is. Gamba in the traditional black and blue, the Nerazzurri. Urawa in their change strip today in the white. Matheus Savio involved early on, the Brazilian, providing the continuity from last season. The Reds with a number of new arrivals this summer in contrast to their opponents, and almost a chance already for Savio, who was just crowded out of that one really before he could get the shot away. His compatriot Danilo Boza, the Brazilian at the back, taking a touch, and then they launch it long, and it will come through for Matheus Savio again, and he didn't make the most of it. Rui Araki comfortable in the end, the 18-year-old goalkeeper on his J.League debut, who forced his way in at the end of that special season, that transitional season that bridged the gap between 2025 and the new summer to spring season. The first in the J-League's history, bringing it in line with much of the rest of the global game. Strong start this from Urawa Reds. Kaneko had covered good ground. And a touch for Nishikawa in goal. Two-time Asian Champions League winner with the Red Diamonds. At the age of 40, it's his 13th year. Promising position this for Matheus Savio. He's been fairly heavily involved early on. Not much between them in the opening 5 minutes, so our Reds may be looking a little more dangerous in possession. Gamba with the couple of set-piece opportunities. Second year for Matheus Savio after 6 seasons he had at Kashiwa Reysol, player who came through the ranks at Flamengo. Very much a regular. In fact, he featured in all but one game in the 100-year Vision League, and he started all but 2 of them. And Ryoma Watanabe with important roles either side of Hiro Kamori in the Reds' attack. Notable that Kamori has got the nod today to lead the line, with Minamino brought in from Gamba, only on the bench. Here's Kaneko, that wider roll on the right, looking for Kamori. He didn't feature in the special season because of injury, having joined a year ago from Jeff United Chiba. 4 goals in 11 previous appearances for the club. Here's the one that Cho has gone with as his central striker tonight. Hectic pre-season, as it was always likely to be for both of these sides. Took contrasting approaches to it. Gamba went to Europe, actually. Based their training camp in Austria. They played a couple of friendlies against Salzburg and Sparta Prague. 1-1, 3-0, lost the other 3-0. Urawa stayed closer to home with a 3-week training camp in the very south of Japan, in Okinawa, playing a series of friendly games before one home match in Saitama more latterly against their second-tier neighbours, near Adisha. Somewhat frustratingly for Urawa Reds, ended 2-2. But it was all about building up to this. Gamba looking to build some pressure of their own, winning the free kick. Kaneko just left his foot in and got player and not ball, bringing down Meshino. Susi waiting over the free kick. Second spell at the club. He returned just under a year ago. A short spell in England with Sheffield Wednesday. Title winner with Vissel Kobe previously. He's sizing up the options here. His early set pieces a big part of the Gamba Osaka plan, it would appear. He's overhit that one though. He may still yet make something of it. Back in a little too close to Nishikawa. 31 caps for Japan for Nishikawa, although the last of those was 9 years ago now. Here's Araki at the other end of his career as well, the 18-year-old. He'll be going to the Asian Games with Japan's under-21 team next month. Played for them at the under-20 World Cup last year. Very highly rated young goalkeeper. This is promising for Urawa Reds once more, with Hayashi, one of the new signings, joined from Machida Zelvia last month. Matheus Savio. Hayashi played the full game in that last friendly last weekend. First half at right back, the second half at left back. He says he's equally comfortable in either role. It was on the left of the defence that he's got the start tonight. Kudo goes cross-field. Here's Kaneko. Kaneko's ball in is fairly comfortably fielded. And it might spark the counter-attack. Humet on the move. And then down goes Dennis Humet right in front of the referee. Free kick and yellow card. I don't think that Matheus Savio can have too many complaints, really. 10 minutes in comes the first caution of the contest. he knew what was coming. But it was still an important intervention, really, with Ahmed otherwise potentially away. And now Zuri will look to inflict some further punishment of their own from another free kick. Susi again standing over it. Asking more questions with that one. Jabali was in there. And the whistle has gone. Full season now for the experienced Tunisian international Issam Jabali. Featuring for the first time, as mentioned, since that Asian Champions League 2 final, and that win in Saudi Arabia against Al Nassr means that they will take part in the qualifying round for the upcoming Asian Champions League Elite. So it's a hectic start to this season for Mayosian and his team, because they are back in action in that continental competition in midweek, looking to book their place in the league phase. They go to South Korea on Tuesday against Gangwon FC. Let's full focus first on this. It's another free kick. Jabali again on the receiving end. Contact this time came from Danilo Boza. And space here for those in white, and options either side. Going to take the shot on himself though. And Keita Yasui may well regret that, given how it ended up. Looking to bring up double figures in front of goal for the club in appearance number 164 for Keita Yasui. Player born in their home city of Saitama. He was ever present in J1 for them last year and missed just 2 games in the special season. He's going to have a really important role to play under Cho, trying to provide that continuity really from what went before. He does want to change the way that they play. He wants to see them winning it back higher up the pitch than has previously been the case. They were the 5th lowest ranked side actually in that statistic in the special season. They've had a little bit more of the ball so far today, and applying pressure high up the pitch just as the coaches demanded. And he says he will insist that they stick to that style despite the conditions. The heat and humidity, I'm sure, will be a factor, particularly the longer the game goes on. And it will be a factor, he insists, for everybody for the first month or so of the season. And all of the games exclusively kick off in the evening because of that. A factor that they have had to take into account with the new calendar. May suit early on the sides that like to sit deep and play on the counter. Cho insisting Urawa Reds will not be one of those. Ocean's also spoken at length about how he wants his Gamba Osaka side to play, wants to get fans off their seats. Turn on the entertainment. Here they come with Rin Mito. Catching there for Meshino as well. Here he is, the former Manchester City player, Ryotaro Meshino. Now Kishimoto. Ended the special season as the regular right-back, and he started the new campaign in situ in that role as well. Started 7 of the last 8 games in the 100-year Vision League. Player once of their great rivals, Cerezo. Shuto Abe. This is Kishimoto. Jabali. Making himself available again here, Jabali. Mito. Suse covering good ground forward from fullback. Both teams taking it in turns just to have little spells in the ascendancy early on. And this famous fixture, the National Derby as it's known. A rivalry born really primarily because of the previous successes of these founder member clubs in the J-League down the years, rather than any local proximity. It's over 300 miles between the clubs. It doesn't dilute that rivalry really. Well, as you can see, just with the edge so far early on in the stats, but nothing between them yet on the scoreboard. This is when they get the chance to set the tone for the season. Matteo Savio forward. Kamori. Did well there just to take that extra touch. Watanabe was in support, Danilo Boza as well. Kaneko. And in he goes towards Kamori! Urawa Reds up and running for the new season. And it hasn't taken too long for Chokwi J's team to hit the front on opening night. It's a big goal for the visitors. Kamori rising highest in the middle. He was involved in the build-up. Waiting patiently, staying onside, and somehow, despite the defender in front of him, making the header his. He was off balance there, wasn't he, Ikagawa? The centre-back of whom Kamori got the better. And that is some start for those from Saitama. He joined last summer from the then second-tier side, Jeff United Chiba, who went on, of course, to win promotion. He didn't feature for Urawa in the 100-year Vision League because of injury. But he stepped into the starting lineup under a new manager tonight, and he's got his club's first goal of the new season. It's not quite the first goal of the new J1 season, because Yokohama F. Marinos 2-1 up already, by the way, against Kashima Antlers. But we have the opening goal here, and what a significant one it could prove to be. Now Mayoshin's side need to try and respond. Haven't been a lot in it until that moment. Kamori certainly justifying his selection, though. Scored in 4 of his first 11 appearances in J1. The last of those back in August of last year against Nagoya Grampus. Neat feet there from Yasui. Watanabe, clever ball in, and Kamori nearly on the end of another one. He certainly wasn't far away, his movement causing issues. He's the player of the year in J2, the top scorer in 2024 with 22 goals. It earned him actually a loan move to Europe. He had a brief spell in Belgium with St. Trouden, for whom he made only a handful of appearances before returning to these shores. Here he is again, Watanabe. Hayashi. Nearly another one. It was a chance, didn't really quite catch it with conviction. Enabling those in blue and black to make the block. But this is a dangerous stage of the game for Gamba Osaka. 20 minutes in, and they've been rattled by the concession of the opening goal. Jabali, that's a good turn. quite enough precision on the pass, but there will be a free kick here, and there will be another yellow card as well. Referee Ikuchi reaching for his pocket quickly, and then a little bit of afters there, which continues, all seemingly unnecessary. Shooter Abe is the player at the heart of it. He's the one that's gone down, having initially made the motion with his head in the direction of Matheus Savio, who's the one player on the pitch already on a yellow card. So some work for the referee to do here. Abe's back to his feet again. The referee just wants a word with his assistant, who would have had a slightly better view of that before coming to his conclusion. He has shown the yellow card for the initial challenge, and he has then, for what followed, produced the red for Matheus Savio. So Hayashi went into the book, but for what followed, the red card has come out, and the Brazilian is off. That was the initial caution. No real complaints looking at that, Hayashi. But this is why Matheus Savio's got himself into trouble. He reacted to something maybe that was said, or maybe the motion that was made by Shooter Abe prompted the reaction. He couldn't control his temper. And the Brazilian is off, and Urawa Reds, a goal up, are a player down, and we're not yet at the halfway point of the first half. Already on that yellow card, that's what's cost him. He was the one player that couldn't afford to get involved in a situation like that, and he has. It wasn't really even his battle, was it? He tried to step in between Abe and Hayashi, and he did so with too much force for the referee's liking. Unnecessary contact was made, and whatever the provocation, it has not spared him the second card. And off he goes. Well, either the way into the game, no shortage of talking points, that is for sure. The J-League is very definitely back under the Friday night lights. And another twist in the tail. Chokwi J's team ahead, but now they will have to try and hold on to that the hard way. And one of their key creative forces is no longer involved. Matheus Savio heading for the dressing room. Some swift reorganising required. For all of that, Hatsusi waiting to take the free kick for the initial foul. It in there. The goalkeeper was convinced that it was just clearing his crossbar, and indeed it did, not by much, but by enough. And let's see how this settles down again. And he just seemed to lose his head a little bit, Matheus Savio. There wasn't really the need to get involved. There was contact as well with the referee, who, having already booked him earlier in the game, was always likely to do so again, I guess, in those circumstances. So renewed hope now for Myojin and Gamba. And Hayashi, of course, now on a yellow card as well after his booking. Raki stepping in. Missed one game in the special season, Matheus Savio. That was through suspension for yellow card accumulation. 2 yellows before the first half of the first fixture was halfway through. Miyamoto away. Looking for Kamori's goal, still separates them. Settle for that in the circumstances. They will have to be careful now in how they manage the game, Urawa Reds. The red card coming so early in the piece. Talk about the difficult conditions, the heat and humidity. Coping with those with 10 for so long will more than likely prove problematic. Now is Danilo Bozo making his way up from the back for the corner. And broke into the side at the end of the special season, really played every minute of their two-legged playoff tie against Fasciano Okayama that they lost 3-1 on aggregate. Finished 12th overall of the 20 teams. Here's the corner. And towards Kamori once more. Miyamoto trying to meet it, unable to do so, and now has to try and hurry back again. Here comes the counter. Led by Humet, he does have support as well. And he was trying to pick the pass there for Kishimoto and unable to squeeze it through to him. Because it was certainly on. That's the danger for the Reds. Often exposed in transition. The touch was loose. Watanabe caught after playing the ball. The referee was right on the scene and has spotted it and has intervened. A very animated show on the touchline already, very animated. And being ushered away by his own coaching staff there. Still furious potentially by the sending off of Matteo Savio. Their argument, his argument, will be that there was no real force in the shove. It prompted that second yellow card, but it was the fact that he made it in the first place that has cost him, and the reaction down there on the touchline is going to cost the coach a caution as well. He's talked his way into trouble. And he's probably therefore ill-advised to continue this conversation too much longer. So they are ahead, and they do have this free kick to follow. Having to play it for so long with 10 could ultimately catch up with them, we shall see. Adds to the intrigue, doesn't it, on opening night? There it goes. That was an awkward one. It will be a corner. They did with it what they could, really. The Gamba defence there, given how and where the ball bounced. With Kishimoto and behind. It's the travelling fans celebrating currently. It's the side that did the double over them last year. Gamba have won 3 of the last 4 meetings, actually, between these clubs. Here's the Reds' corner. Skimmed over the head of Chapali. It wasn't dealt with initially. It was a little bit panicky in putting it behind. Kishimoto certainly felt he had no choice, though. Coming across to take the corner, the former FC Tokyo player. He's in his 3rd year now with Urawa. 7 goals in J1 last year. So to turn provider here. It's a deeper delivery. It's a decent delivery actually from the corner. Kagawa could only get it partially cleared. Danilo Boza and blocked behind. Ballooned behind when it could have gone anywhere, really. Off the defender, it was Danilo Boza who struck it flush. Kishimoto again in the way. That was an important intervention from the former Shimizu S-Pulse player. At the expense of another corner. So half an hour in, Urawa Reds going in search of their second, but it's pretty comfortable and certainly a confident claim from Rui Araki, made that his. Gamba start to find more of an attacking threat with the extra player. Now the club says, the coach Mayojin, where it is important not just to win, but how they win is also vital. He's played, he says, under so many managers here, worked under a couple of others as well. He wants to take good points from each to build the team in his own way. Consistency, he says, is the biggest challenge. They haven't been able to do that in the league in recent years, really. But winning the Asian Champions League 2 last season showed the level that they're capable of reaching, and they play some good stuff here, and looking for Jabali, who goes down. Nishikawa coming out at his feet. And that wasn't without risk. It's a lovely ball, wasn't it? Whipped him behind. Jabali for a moment looked favourite. Nishikawa did well, because he had to commit. So just over half an hour in, and the hydration break, much needed in these conditions. It's not just the heat, which was still well over 30 degrees Celsius at kick-off, but 48% humidity as well. And that will be effective for the next few weeks, the opening few weeks of the season. But the opening stages of this game went Urawa Reds' way. They're in front, courtesy of Komori. It is a lead that they still hold. Scored in the 17th minute, but down to 10 not long after that, with the sending off of Mateus Savio for 2 yellow cards. Another major talking point. One that certainly angered the visitors, but at least part of that frustration will be directed at their own player, for Mateus Savio allowing himself really to get involved. Certainly since then, the possession statistic has turned around a little bit. Gamba now with the edge. It had been Urawa with more of the ball, whilst it was a full complement of players on the pitch. But 8 shots to 2 in favour of the visitors is one of the standout statistics from the opening half an hour or so as well. Despite that, Rui Araki has only been forced into the one save so far, and of course the one that went past him from Komori remains the difference. Really interesting to see how Urawa approach it from here. Not too many changes yet, and you would expect that will remain the case at least until half-time, but the longer it goes, and the more they may be tempted to try and preserve energy and hold what they have. We shall see. Kishimoto back in field to Ikagawa. First year out of university. The player who was in the youth ranks at Yokohama FC and started the last 3 games of the special season. It's a J1 debut for him today. Only his 10th appearance for the club in total across all competitions. And hopefully he could have done more with the Komori goal. And look at the heart of the defence. He's equally comfortable really on the right. And towards the feet of Jabali. Followed by Yasui. That's one of 8 Friday night fixtures scheduled in the J1 season, 2 of which, of course, are taking place tonight on opening night. Marinos game against the reigning champions, Kashima Antlers, one of 5 this month to be played at the National Stadium in Tokyo. Can Gamba make home advantage count in Suita, just to the north of the city of Osaka? And they did struggle a little bit in the special season in front of their own fans. They've only won 1 of their last 7 home games in all competitions inside 90 minutes. It was a notable one, 5-0 against Vissel Kobe. Ultimately went on to top the special season. Tanabe was the player penalised there for the foul. He's now making his way to join his defensive colleagues inside his own penalty area. Reference the inside 90 minutes, of course, because for the duration of that special season, the 100-year Vision League, the J.League didn't do draws, but it will be a point apiece should it end all square after 90 tonight. Back to regular season stuff. Susi with the free kick, swings it in, punched clear by Nishikawa. Connected by shooter Abe, who will loft it in there towards Jabali! And the celebrations never really got started. Flag up. And Issam Jabali, judging by his reaction, perhaps suspected it was coming. Let's have another look. Well, when that initial ball was played, he was certainly in the offside position. It's the right call. And his first reaction was to look across to the assistant, wasn't it? So it was no great surprise to see that flag raised. 20 goals for the club in over 100 appearances now since he made the move from OB in Odense in Danish football. Well, they are still checking that offside decision. It looked the right call to me on the replay that we've just seen, but Koya is still having a look just to see if there might have been anything to negate it. Didn't see any touch on the way through when the ball was played, and it looked like Jabali was just beyond the defence when it was directed towards him. Let's try and clear this up for you. Well, it's the outstretched boot potentially of the defender there, who was Watanabe. He's the one that gave away the free kick that led to that particular passage of play in the first place. Given the positioning of his right boot, it was closer than it did initially look, which is why it's taking as long as it is taking, I think. There might yet be hope here for Gamba. Certainly the longer this review goes, the more the home fans might be beginning to believe it could go their way. Didn't appear so initially. And I think Jabali himself, as we've mentioned, thought he was offside. But he did what all strikers should in that situation. He stuck it away and asked the question. And we've not yet had a definitive answer to it. Jabali waits along with the rest of us, as does referee Akuchi. This is very much one for the technology. Right heel, I think, of Watanabe that might just have been playing him on. This is how close it is. And they're checking now, actually, for a potential penalty. For a handball. Any suggestion of a hand there looked to be off Jabali himself rather than anybody in white. So I think now they appear to have come to the conclusion that it was onside, but did Jabali handle it? And if he did, it still won't count. And from what we've just seen, it did appear that there was a hand in there from Issam Jabali. Here we go. A huge roar tells the story. The goal does stand. And Gamba Osaka are level. And now from here they will be the favourites against the 10 of Urawa Reds, when he was onside and he was adjudged not to have handled it. And after all of that, it's 1-1. Onside only by the merest of margins. Initially, to the naked eye, it It looked he was a significant way off, but the right boot, I think, of Watanabe played him on. And when that was cleared up, they checked to see if he'd handled it. They decided there was no infringement. And the goal is given. And it's another big call from the officials that have gone the way of Gamba Osaka today. Issam Jabali up and running for the new season. He scored only one goal in 11 appearances in the special season. But he's got one tonight, and it's hugely significant. And although we, on the face of it, only have 5 minutes to play to half-time, 4 minutes to play to half-time, there'll be a good deal more than that. Here is Jabali, time for Gamba perhaps to turn it around in its entirety before then, but Nishikawa is in the way to make the save from Meshino. And for that, he'll be grateful. Well, it started so well, didn't it, on opening night for Urawa Reds, but how their mood has significantly shifted since then. And now how they deal with those changing circumstances will tell us much about their mindset and have a big bearing on how this evening ends up. Urawa really just need a little period to collect their heads. Half-time for them perhaps can't come quickly enough, but as I say, there'll be a fair bit to add on beyond the 45, we suspect. More there, no longer the only name on the score sheet. Jabali's last goal came in a 2-2 draw here against Fazio on Okayama on the 19th of April. Just 4 days after he'd scored actually at Bangkok United in the semi-finals of the Asian Champions League 2. Here he is again on the ball in some space. Shifting it on towards Schmidt, back towards Jabali. Making his presence felt, certainly. Here he is again, he's everywhere right now. Kishimoto comes out as far as Abe, knocked it against the shot. Now Suita was the one who went down, only now as he just got back to his feet again. Ikugawa. And they really are starting to make the extra player pay, the way that they're working possession around. Certainly working Urawa Reds. But Susi, and people will claim that one. They do need the break, though, you feel. The Red Diamonds here. This is where all the fitness work that they've done in pre-season will start to show. They need it to pay off. But as any manager will tell you on opening day, it's so difficult to be anywhere near full match sharpness, really. Play as many pre-season friendlies as you like. It's these type of tests, really, where you find out where you're at and how much further you need to go, how much deeper you need to dig. Here's Watanabe. Neat feet from him, couldn't quite match it with the finish. It was a valiant attempt from Ryoma Watanabe. Did really well initially here just to open up that glimpse of goal. He tried to wrap his left boot around it, and it didn't miss the top corner by much. That would certainly have improved their spirits had that one gone the other side of the bar. 7 additional minutes at the end of the first 45, so as suspected, half-time is still a fair way away. It's about right, given the stoppages that we've had, and certainly the length of time that it took to check and ultimately give the Jabali goal. It was far from straightforward, that is for sure. Here's Arbe. Okagawa. Yamashita. I think the pattern's been established now, hasn't it, in terms of Gamba possession. Looking to build on the successes, of course, of their former coach. He wasn't here long, Jens Wiesing. He joined at the start of the calendar year. Just opened up again for Meshino. Straight through to Nishikawa. Wiesing came in his first managerial role, the German, and won Asian Champions League 2 in Saudi Arabia. He's so impressed the Saudi scene that he's since got the job at Al Ittihad. Took a number of his coaching staff with him. Mayojin was part of that staff last season, though. He stepped up to get the top job. Former youth coach at Gamba Osaka. He says he's been working in the background, the backroom staff for the last 9 years or so, with a vague dream one day to become a manager in his own right. And that day is now. And his team have hauled themselves back from behind, and to a great degree with the extra player into the box seat tonight. Early weeks of the season will potentially be amongst the most difficult weeks of the season because of the weather. They will set the tone, and Cho has set his new team the target, effectively, of 10 points from their first 5 games. He says any team that can get to that sort of total through the opening month or so of the season will put themselves in title contention. He's the first to admit it's going to be a difficult target for anybody to reach. Both of these clubs are striving for silverware, and they've made no secret of that, no attempt to play it down. Here's Jabali. Kishimoto. And full back to the other. That's Susi who met that, now Jabali. Brings Okagawa into it. Joining in from centre-back again. All being played in Urawa territory. Kishimoto's cross. Nearly for Jabali. Okagawa getting up well against Kamori. And the reversal from when the goal went in. Nakatani. An honour and responsibility, he says, to captain the club, as he did last season as well. It's his 3rd year since he joined from Nagoya Grampus. Kishimoto well advanced. And I'd expect both fullbacks to maintain that sort of position high up the pitch now in the changing circumstances of the game. This is Ryotaro Meshino. Mito. Susi. There's plenty to aim for in the penalty area, but the ball needed to be a bit better than that. Shooter Sasa is able to clear it away. The 19-year-old on debut. Had 18 months in J2 at FC in Bari, straight out of high school. Making a debut for Urawa Reds, the first ever J1 appearance tonight. He's slotted in fairly neatly in midfield. Some Jabali, you can see what he was trying. Tanabe able to bring it away. He's actually come the closest to scoring the game's 3rd goal. Ryoma Watanabe takes the throw quickly here. All sorts of space for them. Not quite. Hayashi. Not unsurprisingly, didn't really have anybody in support over on the far side. Another Chida Zelvia player. on his Reds debut, but he is approaching a century of career appearances in this division. New signing this summer who will provide real versatility in the squad. And those wing-back roles on either side in particular. Seems he's integrated well during that 3-week training camp that they had in pre-season. Can't really read too much into the results of that. They were certainly mixed, but they were always expected to be. Yamashita for Gamba Osaka. In we go in first half stoppage time. Kishimoto. Point of that 2-2 draw against Emiya Adija in his only game in front of the home fans. They've beaten Fujieda by 2-0. For the J2 side in a friendly, they lost 5-4 against Ryokuya with J3. It was a game where they played 3 45-minute thirds. All about, as I say, building up the fitness, really, and that sharpness. Certainly going to be tested on opening night. All Gamba right now. Here is Nakatani. Mito. Well worked. Humet with back to goal. But with options to try and bring into it. Kishimoto. Humet! Turns it around! Right at the end of the first half. Gamba Osaka back from behind to lead at the break. And it's Dennis Humet. Nishikawa beaten by the power. Starman in this side, really. 8 goals in the special season, in which he was named in the team of the season in the West. Has had a significant say right at the end of the first half here. First half, really, that he has operated on the periphery until this moment. A bend on the ball that got the better of Nishikawa. Will be frustrated to be beaten by it from there. But the Swedish-born former Turkish under-21 international continues to underline just why he is so important to this Gamba Osaka side. The player who got the winning goal against Cristiano Ronaldo's Al Nassr in that Asian Champions League 2 final. He's got the goal that has Gamba ahead at the interval at Panasonic Stadium Suita on opening night in what has been a hugely eventful first half for the first fixture. Tomori had put his team in front by then. The lead was lost after a lengthy review, saw a Gamba goal given for Issam Jabali, and then Dennis Humet turning it around right at the end of first half stoppage time. So Gamba Osaka get the second half underway then, looking to build on the lead that they now hold against Urawa Reds. 2-1 the advantage, 11 against 10 as well on the pitch after the sending off of Savio, meaning the odds are stacked against the visitors, for whom this evening had started so promisingly. Real drama on the opening night under the Friday night lights in the J.League already. Fascinating to see how Cho and his team approach it from here, and they could pick a way through and look to level it maybe, but it wouldn't have counted. The flag was up and the shot was scuffed. As we've seen already, an offside flag doesn't necessarily mean that the goal won't stand. We saw that one overturned in the first half, but no such reprieve for Urawa Reds, and ultimately academic anyway because of the miscued attempted finish. Might not be too long before we see changes, though, certainly in these conditions, and particularly in these circumstances, with the 10 trailing. An enviable task, really, that the coach has in his first game, to try and salvage something from here. The side have started positively in this second half, and they got themselves a free kick. They looked to take pretty quickly, but ultimately it was ineffective. That might change here, though. Bit more room in which to work again. Watanabe going down. Little glance in the referee's direction, but no more. Here's Jabali for Gamba. Couldn't pick the pass that he was intending. And Kaneko has it instead, didn't get too far either. Fairly frantic fare in the opening exchanges of this second period. This was a chance though for Ryoma Watanabe. Nothing really in it in the challenge that saw him tumbling. Did come close to restoring their lead actually when the game was 1-1 in the first half. Watanabe. Gamba then took charge, and they have it here. Too far in front of Humet, the player who scored the goal to establish their lead. And if they do go on and win the game, as mentioned, it would continue a recent dominance of the national derby. Having done a double over Urawa in 2025. He didn't face off in the special season in opposite sides of the draw, which was based on geography, of course. But Chokwi J did face Gamba twice with Kyoto Sanga, won one of those on penalties, lost the other here by 2-0, both back in April. So he has relatively recent experience of facing tonight's opponents, albeit with his former club. Bozo trying to keep that in, they'll settle for the throw. Second season since he joined from Juventude back in Brazil. Can play anywhere really across the back line. Danilo Bozo, here he is again. Trying to combine with Calico. Jabali just beaten to that. Yasui. Brings Kudo into it, stepping up from centre-back. Humet able to intervene. And Yamashita looked like he was away before he was caught, hence the card. Onto Yasui. In fact, it was Kudo, wasn't it, who came across and caught him. So he joins Hayashi in the book. They've already seen Mateus Savio sent off for 2 yellows. Another caution for Kudo. He was on loan at Fagiano Okayama in the 100-year Vision League season. First bloke into the Urawa Reds senior squad some 5 years ago now, but is playing only a third game for them. Most of that time has been spent out on loan. Fagiano was cut somewhat short by a hamstring injury in April, but fully fit again over the summer. Connect the target here. Does get on the end of it, nearly found Jabali. And the whistle has gone, to the frustration of Yamashita because it came his way. It looks ominous though, doesn't it? The combination play and attack for Gamba Osaka. Kudo just getting a foot to it first and getting the decision. And he's still only 22 and does potentially have his career at the club in front of him. And goes out to impress a new manager. Of course, Miyamoto alongside him at the back. Has previous with Chokwi J, who played for him for the last 2 years whilst he was on loan at Kyoto Sanga. Miyamoto's admitted that increases to an extent the pressure on him to deliver under Cho back in Saitama. And they've worked this well. Sasa is well advanced. He's looking for some support. Gamba haven't dealt with the danger yet. Oh, so unlucky from Kamori, and again! Goalkeeper got something on it, and ultimately just enough on it as it's cleared off the line. Back in again. Well, this is good stuff from Urawa Reds. They really have rallied at the 10 at the start of their second half. So unlucky not to be level, and again off the post this time. Well, they've done everything but score, and now they have to be careful to guard against the counter. The game is wide open, and this is Jabali for Gamba trying to squeeze it through for Humet. And they needed the important intervention there of Miyamoto. Wow, quite some passage of play. And quite how Urawa Reds are not level, I'm not sure. This should tell us. There's the second one, off the post, a fraction away. And here's Kamori, off the bar. And then must have thought on the follow-up he'd got enough power behind it. It's an excellent clearance on the line. Goalkeeper played his part in taking some of the sting out of the shot. He hadn't quite done enough to stop it, though, and it was still going in. But for that last-ditch clearance, that's a major moment. Just how major, only time will tell. But you feel Urawa have to take chances like that, and how close they were to doing so. 3 times, really, in the same passage of play. What they need to do is take heart from the creation of those opportunities, rather than be downhearted at the failure to take them. So the way the first half unfolded, there might have been a sense developing already that this could be one of those days for them. Strengthened maybe by what we've just seen, but they cannot allow that to become part of the psyche. And in fairness to them, there's no signs of that happening at the moment, but no free kick given to Danilo Boza as he was hoping. And now his teammates have to try and hurry back. This is Humet. There's Sam Jabali. Humet again. Has Yamashita in support. Touch for Shota Abe in there. And the Reds have had time now to reorganise and get those white shirts back behind the ball again. Yamashita. Here's Ryo Hatsui. Mito. I think both sets of players just needed a little period like this to reset, to gather their breath again. It has been a frantic start to the second half, somehow without further addition to the scoreline. He played his part in that as well. Nishikawa at the other end will take the free kick here and launch it long. Still the first choice under another Urawa Reds coach. The start of his 13th year at the club. Six-time member of the J.League Best 11. Again, they've worked this well. Tanabe, when it came to him initially, did have a little bit of space. It didn't last long, but still the danger. Tanabe wanting it back again. Instead, Kamori was intent on trying to take the shot on himself. Now Jabali, this is the danger, isn't it? This is the risk that the Reds run. Here's Humet for Gamba Osaka. With support. In the mood to try and do it all on his own. Surrounded by a sea of white shirts there. And he turned back into that more central position. Jabali again helping it on to Meshino. Not quite for Humet in the middle. Hayashi under pressure. Helped out by Yasui. It's a little dangerous trying to play out from that position, but they've been encouraged to do so. seemingly having done the hard bit, have now lost it again. And this is Jabali. Humet, a fraction away from helping himself to another one. Dennis Humet, who's got the goal that separates them right at the end of the first half, was close to his second of the game here. Very close. Did the goalkeeper get a fingertip to it? I think he might have done, actually. Looking at that angle. Nishikawa getting down. He certainly felt so, and I think he's got a case. And the corner now has been given. Correct call, I think. It's Susi waiting to take it. He only made 6 appearances during his time in England at Sheffield Wednesday. He takes the corner. Headed out by Danilo Boza. As far as Meshino, who during his time in English football with Manchester City didn't make a senior appearance. In the youth ranks at the club and then out on loan. Actually returned to Gamba. And it all began for the Osaka-born Ryotaro Meshino. It's the 5th season now since he's been back. Waiting to make a change and bring on Masashi Uenaka. It would be a debut. Joined in January from Yokohama F. Marinos, but missed the special season with a knee injury. It was neatly done by Mito. Here is Meshino. Abe was looking for Humet. Plenty forward here in support of the attack. Yamashita, the ball was closed just in time. Only just in time. Still finely balanced, isn't it, heading towards the hour mark. Here is the change that I mentioned. It will happen here, and it will be Humet to make way. Currently cast in the role of match winner. But just under an hour in, his part is played, and Uenaka will replace him in attack. Scored 29 goals in 120 appearances for his former club, Yokohama F. Marinos. Meniscus injuries kept him on the sidelines so far in 2026 until now. So here will come the corner. They haven't seen as much of the ball in the second half as they did right in the first. Can they make this set piece count back to the threat that they were posing earlier in the game at 0-0 when it was 11 against 11? And we do have further activity on the touchline again here. This time it will be a double change for Urawa. Ado Anewu, who's been amongst the goals in pre-season but didn't score in the 100-year Vision League. He is going to come on for Kamori. And interesting reception, I'm sure, for Harumi Minamino, who debuts for Urawa Reds. He's on in place of Sessa. Here he is, joined from Gamba only a few weeks ago. A club where he'd been for the best part of a decade, having risen through the ranks. He was in the senior squad for 4 years. He scored just the once for them in J1. 7 goals in total in 43 Gamba Osaka appearances across all competitions. It was a difficult decision in the summer, he said, to move on, but he wanted to challenge himself in a new environment. And he gets his opening opportunity for Urawa Reds on very familiar territory, back at the stadium that he called home for so long. 2 changes for the 10. And both of them, on the face of it, very attacking changes. They have approached their second half, even with the player disadvantage, in a really positive fashion. Having more of the possession than they did after they went down to 10 in the first half, at least. Whether they can sustain that, we shall see. They're unfortunate, really, not to be back on terms, having twice hit the frame of the goal. And had one cleared off the line, all in the same frantic little period. So first involvement for Wainaka, and it's a good one, and he's found Jabali. Those two combine neatly and nearly again. And Jabali has it back after all, and still has it. Looking to create the space for the shot, and does force the save from Nishikawa. And Jabali, scorer of the equalising goal after that protracted review. Susi, experienced addition nearly a year ago last summer, back in familiar territory. Nekatani, there's Hatsusi again. Jabali is looking for Wainaka, but this is promising. Minamino involved almost immediately. Now Kaneko trying to trick his way through, and then taking a tumble and asking the question of the referee, who didn't give him the answer that he was hoping for. Match official Akihiko Ikuchi content to let it continue. They will be checking it right now. Noru here is the target. He scored the late equaliser last weekend on Saturday against Amija Adisha in that final pre-season friendly. It's their second equaliser of the game against their local rivals. Tanabe was also on target earlier in the piece. And goes Jabali. There is Ado Anewu. In the first year of his second spell at the club, he returned on a free in February from Magdeburg in Germany. He played in French football with Toulouse and Auxerre previously. 3 goals in 3 caps for Japan. And at the age of 30, he's likely to have an important part to play in this Red side, but they've been caught short here with that ball in behind. And down to make the important save goes Nishikawa to keep out Yamashita. Able to take a couple of touches to set himself, but struck it really at the legs of the goalkeeper. It's not the first reminder that they've had of the fine line that they're treading. One ball in behind, almost undoing a lot of the good work they've put in this second half so far. There's Gamba supporters behind the goal, certainly sensing they need the security of a 2-goal cushion. Look at how this is going. Goalkeeper comes and makes it his in convincing fashion. Back at the start of 2014 when he signed from Sanfrecce Hiroshima. Nishikawa's effectively really been the first choice ever since. He played every minute of the special season. 6 clean sheets, conceding almost a goal a game. 21 they let in across their 20 matches. And finished that competition with 3 points fewer than that Gamba Osaka. He operated, of course, in the West region. Curious end to the campaign Urawa Reds had under an interim manager. Tatsusa Tanaka came in, won his first 4 games, lost 3 and drew 1 of his last 4. His successor Cho making another change here. Naganuma is into the action. Yoichi Naganuma, who joined a couple of summers ago from Sagan Tosu. Started the last 5 games of last season, actually, in the 100-year Vision League. He was introduced to the action with over a quarter of this one still to play. Hayashi's debut ending a little bit earlier than he might have expected. Zardo, who didn't endear himself to the travelling supporters with his part in the sending off of Savio, which could still prove so costly to those from Saitama, of whom there are plenty inside the Panasonic Stadium Suita. So Minamino making his way into the middle. Watanabe is the one that will take the free kick. Decent delivery, actually, caused a little bit of panic. The Reds actually failed to score in 3 of the last 4 games of the special season. They'd only blanked in 2 in the entirety of the competition prior to that. Hence the shake-up that they've had in attacking areas in particular over the summer, than the arrival of Minamino from Gamba. One of the moves that they've made to try and address that situation. Can play anywhere really across the front 3. They tended in pre-season, I'm told, to use him wider rather than through the middle, which is often where he played for Gamba more latterly. Slightly deeper role just at the moment since he came on. And you could certainly see what they were trying. Just looking to slip that through towards Naganuma. Has taken up that left wing-back role. Here's on Newu, holding it up. Kaneko. I actually thought when they get him involved, they haven't perhaps been able to get him involved as much as they would have liked, but showcasing what he can do and the danger that he can cause when he has it, forcing another corner. As we head towards the last 20 minutes, it's credit to Urawa Reds, the 10 men of Urawa Reds, that they are still very much in this, and indeed unfortunate not to be level. Showing some real spirit in the second half in adversity. Comes into a really good area, and Danilo Boza was rising. He's very much the target here. Final touch may well have been a Gamba one. And it was. So we get another go on the other side. Newu this time didn't really get off the ground, but still got something on it. Kaneko cutting it back. And Gamba relieved to get that one away. Takuro Kaneko played the full 90 only twice in the 100-year Vision League season, despite featuring in every game and starting all but 2 of them. Here he is again, excellent ball in, and it was just so inviting and seemingly set to be converted for the equalising goal, but wide it goes. And Gamba survivor, another huge scare, a real let-off this time. Such quality on the cross, but it wasn't matched by the attempted finish from in front of goal. That had to go in. That's a big miss in every sense. And a really painful one. Just had to steer that into the corner. The unguarded corner of the goal. And it was 2-2. Plenty of time to reflect on it now at the hydration break. Long time ago that Kamori put them in front in the first half. Everything really has gone against Chokwi J's side since then. They were down to 10 by the time that Jabali levelled it, given eventually, after a lengthy review, checking both offside and handball. Offside had initially been given on the field, but that was eventually overturned. So he was able to celebrate the goal. He hadn't done so initially, and the flag went straight up. And then that from it at the end of the first half turned it around for Gamba Osaka, and that is how it has stayed to this juncture somehow. Despite the chances that Urawa Reds have created, twice they've hit the frame of the goal. They've had one cleared off the line. They've had another header that we've just seen put wide from right in front of goal. And so still the 10 trail. Having played with the one player short since the early sending off of Matteo Savio, less than halfway through the first half. But their team are giving it everything. And they've mounted a convincing argument that they at least deserve to be level. Somehow that finishing touch has just eluded them. So play back underway then after the final hydration break of the evening. And the final chapter of this story is certainly still to be scripted. Well, they're still waiting, I think, for the paperwork to be processed for Eli Adams to get involved. Gamba Osaka's one notable signing of the summer, the Australian from Newcastle Jets in the A-League. The former Brisbane Roar and Melbourne player was unable to debut just yet, but they have high hopes for him. Attacking midfield player. And here is Onewu. Side flag stayed down. Didn't quite make the most of it. Barney trying to get on the end of the clearance. In doing so, has actually made contact there with Miyamoto. Show is clearly calling for the card. He has one already, of course. The frustration got the better of him in the first half. Miyamoto, as mentioned, a player that played for him for the last couple of seasons with Kyoto Sanga. And although he's wearing the captain's armband today, he is one of 4 captains for the season that Chokwi J named just a couple of days ago in the build-up to this opening match. Taking a different approach to leadership this season. It's the first time that he's done so. Miyamoto, along with the goalkeeper Nishikawa, along with Kaneko and Watanabe, will share that responsibility throughout the course of the campaign. No single club captain this season. Final 15 of the 90 here. And it goes from Watanabe and taken well by Araki. Kishimoto there. He's taking a blow to the side of the face by the looks of things. That's why Araki has put it out of play. Just check on the well-being of Takuro Kishimoto here. This is how it happened, I think. Collision with his own goalkeeper initially. But it was good goalkeeping from Araki. Can they find the space to get the shot away? Danilo Boza here, touching it a bit wider for Kaneko. And he's unfortunate there that the final touch inadvertently was his. Frustration beginning to build a little bit for Kaneko in particular. More changes then for Gamba Osaka here. A couple of them. He's going to come off, so too is Meshino. Kuma Suzuki and Velton Felipe introduced into the action. Velton, a familiar figure over the course of the last couple of seasons, the Brazilian. With Levski Safir and Botafogo. Take the place of Meshino. And Suzuki is a defensive midfield player, third year at the club since he joined from neighbour Cerezo. Started both of the playoff matches at the end of the special season against Tokyo Verdy. They prevailed in 5-3 on aggregate. He takes over from Abe. He's had an eventful evening. Space again here, though, for Watanabe, for Urawa. And a couple to try and pick out! They are levelled! And how they deserve that! Real spirit, real resilience shown by the 10 to get themselves on terms eventually. Kaneko thunders in the header to make it 2-2. So often he's been the likely provider in chief, but this time he's in the perfect position to apply the finishing touch to an excellent ball in from Watanabe. Just made the header his, just got to it first. And despite the fact that Araki was right behind it from that sort of range, travelling at the pace with which it was met by Kaneko, he had little chance of stopping it. In adversity, Urawa Reds have equalised. And in adversity in this second half, how they really have stepped up, how they've shown that collective strength and spirit in demanding conditions, both in terms of the context of the game in which they trailed and the heat and humidity of a summer evening in the north of Osaka. They've dealt with all of that and they've got themselves level. Not seen much of the ball, understandably, in the circumstances, but they've made it count and they're in the mood for more here! They're in the lead! And would you believe it, it's Minamino! A stunning story in Suita, and it's scripted by the player who left Gamba for Saitama this summer, who scores on his debut, and the 10 of Urawa Reds have turned it around improbably to lead by 3 goals to 2. The J.League is back all right, and it is delivering incredible drama. And Gamba left their former player all alone in an otherwise congested penalty area. Space in the 6-yard box to steer it in and to turn the game back around in favour of Urawa Reds with 10 minutes of the 90 to play. Wow. A decade with Gamba rising through the ranks, making the big call in the summer to move on in search of a new challenge. And it's a challenge he has embraced here with a potentially priceless goal. But back come Gamba with Velton. Down goes Velton. And the free kick right on the edge of the area is given. And this is a remarkable watch. This is brilliant fare for the neutral. Both sides playing their part in serving up a spectacle here. And now Gamba are the ones that have to do it all over again. They never really recovered from the concession of the equaliser before they were behind. What have they got in response? 2 goals in just over 2 minutes for Urawa Reds from Kaneko and Minamino. That's Susi standing over it. And you certainly wouldn't know, given how this second half has gone, that Gamba with a side with the extra player. Well, belatedly, they have to try and make that count. Matsusi's had a fair bit of time to think about this. Deeper delivery was a decent one. Yamashita will reach the rebound. Finds Suzuki. Had only just come on when all the drama unfolded. Matsusi closed down tight to the touchline. Oh, what a story, Minamino getting the goal. Erosion, I'm sure, must have feared something like that when he saw him coming on. Not necessarily a player that they wanted to lose in the summer. The decision to leave was seemingly his. His last goal prior to today was for Gamba at Shimazu Espos off the bench back in May. He scored his first J1 goal, his first goal for Gamba Osaka on the last day of last season, here against Tokyo Verdy in that 4-1 win. And he's returned 8 months or so on to score potentially, and I say at this stage that with some hesitation, potentially the game's deciding goal. It's a long way still to go, relatively speaking. And there is a caution in there for Onewu for the little pullback that you just saw. So he goes into the book, the latest Urawa Reds name taken. Where does this go from here? All of the cards, by the way, regardless of the colour, have been shown to Urawa. But they lead, despite all of that. And they have it here to Gamba with Velton Felipe, Jabali, back to Velton, and Velton will level it! Not the cleanest of contacts, but it mattered not as it ends up in the corner, and it's 3-3. Urawa were not ahead for long this time. And it's another substitute stepping onto the centre stage. Velton Felipe, the Brazilian, off the bench to get his goal. Heavily involved as he linked here with Jabali. Outnumbered about 3-1. And as they attempted to close down the shot, Miyamoto came out to him, and if anything, it may well have deflected through his legs and in. It did. And agonisingly beyond the reach of Nishikawa, who couldn't quite react and readjust in time. And the goals keep coming. They've shared 6 of them now on opening night. And with 5 of the 90-plus added time still to play, there is the sense yet that we still haven't necessarily seen the final chapter scripted. Only scored once across the 100-year Vision League season, did Velton Felipe. It's a 9th goal in 69 appearances now in total in the colours of Gamba Osaka, since he made the move from Bulgarian football in Levski Sofia. Only one of them came in J1 last year. He's matched out already on opening night. Here's Jabali, slipping it through into space for Yamashita. All sorts of space for Waymaker in the middle. Another twist. What a response from Gamba Osaka. This is astonishing. And that is 4-3 Gamba. Also off the bench, making his debut since he joined in January. Injury had prevented him playing a part until now. SAE Lenaka, formerly of Yokohama F. Marinos, now sporting the famous black and blue of Gamba Osaka, was able to somehow turn that in unattended in front of goal, left isolated by those in white. And just as Urawa did to Gamba only minutes earlier, The home side strike twice in quick succession, and they turn it around again. A game in which they trailed early, they led at half-time, and probably they trailed again, they now lead again. And who knows where they will be when the music stops, these two. But they are providing quite a tune for us on opening night. There's still a little while to go yet, you know, 3 minutes of the 90. There'll be a fair bit beyond that. You would rule nothing out from here. Gamba have responded really well. That's something of an understatement, just as Urawa did earlier in the second half. Now it's their turn again. Now the onus is on their shoulders again. A couple of changes made in the aftermath. And how those substitutes have had such an impact on proceedings. And 7 goals between them matches the most that these two clubs have ever managed in a head-to-head meeting. And you wouldn't put it past one of them getting another yet. Really been through it, hasn't he? In his first game in charge, competitive game in charge of Urawa Reds. And so too, Tomokazu Mayoshin. In the background for so long in Suita. Now the man in charge, but his team in potential trouble here, given the position of this free kick. The lead, as we've seen, has always been a slender one for whoever has held it. And it goes again with just a little bit too much height. Mizunuma delivering that one, having come on for Kaneko. Hayete for Yasui, by the way, was the other change for Urawa a moment ago that you saw confirmation of, and now Mayoshin and Gamba will respond in kind. They'll make a couple of their own as well. Off will come Yamashita. Shogo Sasaki waiting to come on. Susi is the other player being replaced. That will be by Shinya Nakano. He ended 2025 on loan at Shonan Bellmare. Sasaki's in a second season since his signing from Jeff United Chiba. Now both on for the conclusion, the last minute of the 90, to try and help their team over the line here. In front of nearly 35,000 in Suita. Well, as mentioned, Gamba did struggle in front of their own fans to a great degree in the special season. We've got 6 minutes of stoppage time to try and see this through. Certainly defensive changes from Gamba, those last two. That is wholly understandable at this juncture. There is Nakano, one of those to just venture onto the field. Quite an opening night. However it ends up under the Friday night lights in J.League there, I'm told about 10 minutes into stoppage time at the National Stadium. They've had 6 goals, they've shared them. Yokohama F. Marinos and Kashima Antlers 3-3 at the moment, 4-3 here in the opening 2 fixtures of the season. If it does set the tone, as we talked about earlier, it's going to be quite some campaign to come. Jabali couldn't quite hold on to it, but Nakatani will return it to Araki. Still got the best part of 5 minutes or so to try and save themselves, you suspect, here Urawa Reds. Mizunuma also making his debut, the vastly experienced 36-year-old now. Returned to the J.League this summer after 18 months in the A-League with Newcastle Jets. Well, he was a former teammate, actually, of Gamba's new signing, Eli Adams. Former, of course, of Marinos as well. Jabali. Nakano just shoved off the ball, really. Danilo Boza forward. Going to come through for Jabali with the time to turn. Did have support as well, wasn't quite able to utilise that. Some very tired legs and minds out there, I'm sure, despite all of the changes, which are wholly necessary, really, in these circumstances. Urawa now taking their turn to threaten Mizunuma. And again. Approaching 350 J1 career appearances on his return to this league that will see him pass that milestone, surely. The officials content to let it go where at all possible. They've also helped this game flow, and how it has flowed from one end to the other. Gamba much more the ball throughout in the circumstances, playing with the extra player for so long, but well, they've had to do it the hard way at times themselves as well. There's Naganuma, making sure he got on the end of it. Preserves possession, gets it back from Kudo, swings it into the middle. And there's a huge roar from the home fans as Araki reaches that. And will hold on to it for as long as he is possibly permitted. Although, of course, these days that is not too long at all. But there is only a couple of minutes of stoppage time to play now. He was coming under real pressure, but did enough to get the decision. Still feel there might be a chance left yet for Urawa Reds. And it goes, this could be the moment! Oh, it's back off the bar! And for the third time in this second half, they struck the frame of that goal. Still potentially the possibility for them here. They are not giving it up. We should know that by now. They will never give this one up. Whatever fate might bring their way. Had a guided goalwards over the fingertips of Araki, but onto the frame of his goal, onto the crossbar, and this time through to the keeper to collect and to gratefully gather it up. So many what-if moments for Urawa. 3 goals they've got at Gamba, and they may well have had many more. 2 off the bar, 1 off the post, 1 cleared off the line. Another miss from right in front of goal that seemed a certain equaliser at the time. If Gamba do cling on to the points here and get off to an opening day win, there will still be plenty of concern at the defensive deficiencies, but that's for later. That's for the training ground next week. At the moment, everyone is revelling in the spectacle, which is brought to its conclusion after 6 minutes of stoppage time. A game that has seen 7 goals scored and just edged in the end by the home side. It is Gamba Osaka that get off to a winning start after a thriller to start the season. Game that went one way and then the other. Urawa played 3/4 of it with 10. You wouldn't know it from the threat that they provided throughout. They got the early goal. Mateus Savio then was sent off. Gamba had led by half-time, but then came an astonishing second half. Chokwije's side made light of the numerical disadvantage that they faced. They created chance after chance. They scored twice in 2 minutes to lead 3-2, but still it wasn't enough. Gamba responded in kind. They did exactly the same, and those goals, the winner from Wanaka, ultimately proved enough to hold on to a vital, valuable, enthralling, exhilarating victory at Panasonic Stadium Suita, where, incredibly, on opening night of this new season, it has finished Gamba Osaka 4, Urawa Reds 3.